Good evening, dear friends. Good evening, my dear students, my dear viewers, my dear subscribers. We just recently on Sunday, 26th of April, we carried out the work with you. I'm very happy with the results, and by the end of May, I plan to meet with you again. Today's topic is very unusual. The topic of immortality has always been the topic, the driving force for me. Knowing about immortality, I realized this knowledge had to be passed on to humanity. People need to learn how to become immortal, and someone needs to explain to them what it is, what transformations are occurring, how to understand if you are closer or very far away from this state. There are many esoterical explanations and interpretations of it, and the science does not stand still either. Science speaks about immortality, saying that there is no such thing as death, and for a long period of time, for many years, we have been speaking about it. Here, there is a dual understanding, we can say. People have an understanding that after the death there is life in the subtle dimension, but there is a different state, the state of transformation, the state of a mutation and change, and then manifestation in a different, more developed world. Let's speak about it today. I will try to speak today about the quantum physics and quantum mechanics because it's one of sciences which explains how everything is made of emptiness, and they explore the molecule, the atom, the nucleus, and inside its emptiness. And this is the quantum field. The processes of transformation within the human body speak about the fact that there is a wave, and we shape within our brain a certain understanding of the world by means of the process of tunneling. I will not use many of such scientific terms. I want to convey this topic in a simple way, in a language that will give you the understanding and explanation of this process. And therefore, my friends, let us speak with you about why a human being is created, why a human being as a species, and why the world of animals, the world of plants, minerals, and crystals, how all of this creation exists, and how we are whole system, one with the entire cosmic physical vacuum and the emptiness, which is not actually emptiness. It's a very specific, dense quantum field, unmanifested field of quantum superposition. And so, my friends, immortality. I want to tell you that in the cosmos, everything is designed in this way. The form is created that is called life, which is part of evolution. Humans were created about 1 million years ago, and a few races were created, 6 of them to be more precise, and each of these races followed its own path of evolution. By creating these races originally, higher beings, and they are always in charge of this process. I want you to understand the cosmos is intelligent, quantum fields are intelligent, consciousness possesses intelligence and superstate, and as it has intelligence, everything is managed and governed by the higher mind. And the higher intelligence, higher mind has assistants. And these are the creatures, beings who are very advanced. They have specific possibilities, technological and spiritual. Even their technological advanced possibilities are based on their spiritual level of their development. There are many different forms of life, my friends, and when a certain species, a certain form is created, it enters the path of evolution. Initially, the six root races were created in order to observe which one of them will be more productive. And at the present moment, we can observe and see the most productive, the most efficient form of human life. And here, my friends, please, I do not want to offend anybody. All human beings are the children of God. But what I want to say is that the most productive, most effective species among humans, these are the race of Slavic people. And I will explain you why. Because Slavic people, through the course of evolution and by means of the path of their survival and struggles, they have managed to create, to cultivate in their brains such a willpower which enables them right now to survive, to adapt to different levels of life. And so, such people, such a nation as Slavs, Slavic people, are in the foreground of the evolutionary cycle of the future world. It is the Slavic nation that takes the leading role in the creation of a new race. Why? Because of their very strong willpower center in their brain. The willpower is the impulse which, let's call it, let's explain it. It's the driving force inside the brain. And this prompts a person to be more active in their process of evolution and productive life. Other races, because of the intermixture of blood on a certain period of time, through the certain transformation, certain genes were added, and they do not have such a strong willpower impulse, especially people who live close to the equatorial area. It can also be explained, but if I carry on explaining this, we will not cover the topic of immortality. And so, my friends, why this form of life was created and why now this form of life in its productive cycle can become immortal. Humans on this planet, you are determined based on your force field, and the force field is created by the pineal gland, the center of your willpower. The stronger it is, the more developed is the form of human life, and this type of human life is aspired to immortality. What is immortality? It's the capacity to stop dying, to no longer die and transform within. These are the inward transformations, internal transformations, and you are called mortal will creatures. What does it mean? These are the creatures who express their will, and the social media, mass media, distract you, suppress you, and keep you in fear because the willpower is the instrument inside your brain which enables you, as the will creatures, to become immortal, overcome death, and enter the path of immortality. This can be possible with the help of self control, self development, and throughout many years, immortality, this aspect in a human being, has been suppressed, and humanity has been distracted onto the path of degradation and decline, and many people experience inner suppressed state. Their willpower center is not active, and this does not allow them to become immortal. Immortality is the activation within the human organism, within all seven bodies, a certain structure, certain codes, which contain within themselves the possibility to reproduce within a human being certain codes of your eternal life, the codes which enable you to live eternally, the possibility and the ability of continuous correct restructuring and renewal of your cellular system. The science confirms that indeed a human being has this code of self regeneration. You are not even aware of it, but right now, in this moment, many cells are dying and born within you. The cells that you had when you were born are no longer present in you. New cells have replaced them. But this aspect in you has been suppressed in a human life, in a human form by alien beings. And of course, other factors play a role too, such as ecology and contaminated state of environment. So there are many hindrances on the way of the right transformation and mutation. But within a human organism, there are certain codes. By unlocking these codes, a human being can undergo a certain transformation without going through the physical death, which enables such a person to be revealed on the quantum level, and quantum physics and quantum mechanics proves that a human being lives in many states simultaneously, and this allows a person to leave this plane of evolution because they have managed to activate their internal codes of immortality, and this enables them to be revealed on other higher planets and evolution. I want to tell you, my friends, that by studying the history of humanity, you were originally created in such a way so that your biological bodies could go through the right process of renewal, mutation, and activation of a genetic code, which would then accelerate the process of your renewal, which will prolong and extend the years of your life in your physical body. But as I have said, there were certain interferences into the genetics of a human being. Alien genes were introduced which suppress the code of immortality. And my friends, I want to tell you that the very process of your development was based on the idea and plan of revealing in a human being and unlocking these genetic codes. By activating these codes, a human can then live in a state of superconsciousness. The superconsciousness could be unlocked, and then it would allow a person to continue evolution in other, more developed planets, where, in the same manner, this human will continue to unlock their abilities, and without death, their physical body was meant to undergo certain processes of restructuring and renewal, whereby a human organism was meant to have even higher genetic wave quantum conductivity, which would strengthen the physiological organism. And in this way, you were meant to reach the level of paradise, where you were planned to enter the paradise in a perfect material, etheric, mental, and perfect high frequency for spiritual bodies. So, all of your bodies actually, where are these codes contained? These codes are part of your spiritual bodies. These codes carry informational quantum state, but they are not manifested, they are not expressed fully, because It was a certain interference of other genes that suppress this capacity of immortality. But at the very beginning of your evolution, higher beings created you in such a way that you could live in this way, but due to certain turmoil on the planet, the mutation has happened, and this is no longer possible. But what is possible, my friends? It is possible to transform your physiological body to light, to raise its vibration to such a level that instead of your physical body and such processes occur, a flare of light happens, and this light transforms your physical body to light, shifting, transitioning, converting your physical body into the state of quantum vibration of light. This is possible. Such cases happened on the planet, and there are spiritual teachers who have also gone through such transformation. They did not die physically, they transformed into the light, and in a moment of this transformation, the physiological body transformed into the light. In principle, my friends, your physiological body is light, but this light, with the help of gravitation, gravity force, your electromagnetic radiation, because you are made of electromagnetic quantum fields, which have the quantum entanglement within them. Everything is together in them. And in this process of transformation, spiritualization, your physiological body undergoes a process whereby the density is removed and the gravitational field can no longer affect your physical organism, and your body transforms into the light that it actually is. Everything is made of light. Everything that you see is light. Science confirms matter is made of light. And here we cannot even argue. I am so grateful to the Creator for the scientific exploration of many scientists. Many scientists discover a lot, and this allows people to develop aspired and determined people who have a very active will center, the presence of will in you and the direction of your will to the right path allows you to do it. If a person has the will impulse, they will develop, and this will lead them in the long run to immortality. Immortality, my friends, I want to deviate slightly and explain you. The Egyptian pharaohs also experienced the process of immortality. Those of them who attained a certain level of light emanation could go through the process of transformation into the light. This allowed them to disappear from the physical plane, and then through the process, as you call it, resurrection, they could be revealed in the seventh dimension or other advanced spiritual planets. I also want to tell you that some time ago on this planet, the tree of life was present. It was brought here from the constellation center from Adentia. A certain plant that grew into a tree was brought. The fruits of this tree, when consumed, people who had high vibration within them, spiritual vibration, could become younger, and this enabled them to live for thousands years, about 800 years, or perhaps even more than 1,000 years. You might have heard of it. But it turns out that the fruits and the substance of this tree could renew the cells and extend the years of life within the human organism only in those cases and those people who developed spiritually, who had self-knowledge, who learned to manage themselves, who were conscious and aspired to unlock their true nature. People who ate the fruits of this tree with such aspects within them could extend their life. And those people who underwent the decline and fall could not benefit from this tree and could not benefit from the process of transformation and renewal. It can even be explained, my friends. The matter is that no matter what kind of creature, what kind of life form it is, when this human, this being is destructive, then within them the process of destruction is unfolding, and this process is more powerful than the process of renewal and revival. You may notice people who are aggressive, greedy, envious, have many diseases because their psyche and the process of destruction within them is more powerful than the process of renewal, even though the gene is also present in them, the gene of renewal and rejuvenation, but it's not powerful enough because there is the lack of high frequency light fluctuation. My friends, in order for the renewal in your organism to be active and effective, you need to maintain within yourself a certain frequency by controlling your thoughts, by having the right attitude and intentions in life, to always be above the matter, not within it, but above it, to be higher than matter, and to always appreciate the quantum field, the quantum superposition, which actually creates all matter. When a human has learned to do it, when they can control themselves, and this is every moment of self control, this is who you are, and such processes are developing and unfolding in you. In this case, with the right self control, a person carries the high frequency and conducts this frequency. This activates the genetics of immortality, and a process of renewal happens within such a person. And again, back to immortality. Sometimes when ordinary people die, as they say, my beloved, my daughter, or my son, or my spouse, who have left this world, now they are part of paradise, they were kind, good people, and so on. I want to say to such people that none of a human form, none of humans have reached the level of paradise. Even in the center of the local universe in Salvington, there are no humans. Humans who have managed to reach a certain spiritual level of development are now evolving and living on different planets of the local system. They live in the constellation and perhaps even in the center of constellation, in a central planet in Adentia. But no people are present in paradise. I want you to understand there are the worlds of spiritual culture. They are created on high frequency. A kind person, high frequency person, belongs to this world and they enter such a world which allows them to observe the pleasant processes of their evolution, pass on messages to their beloved people who still live on the planet, for them to be calm and serene. My friends, immortality is perhaps the highest goal, the highest task, most serious task for every person. In principle, you are created by the Creator to become immortal, and as immortal, highly evolved beings, the children of God, you are meant to come back to the place from where your souls have left. This cycle is stretched in eternity. A human being in their process of development accomplishes this in eternity. We cannot say that this lasts forever, but this is a very long, very wide scale process, and it's wonderful. You were born on this planet as the mortal will creatures. You start evolution here, and in your process of life and evolution, by activating your will center, by conducting high frequency and vibration, by achieving the maximum level of the creative experience on this planet, you no longer come here again. You are no longer born. Even when your physical body dies, your subtle bodies with high conductivity or high frequency allow you to travel into dimension worlds, more advanced planets where you restore your semi-material state. And from this moment on, you stop dying. Now you have understood there are a few stages of reaching immortality. You have realized that on this planet you can reach a high frequency, the highest frequency that can transform your biological body into light, and this allows you to travel to mansion worlds. But also you can die here in the physical state. Your physical body dies and your subtle bodies exit. They are released. They have high conductivity but slightly lower than the flare of light that allows the transformation of physiological organism. But this frequency is also high, and it allows such a person to evolve in more advanced planets. And there, a human being also chooses their path. They are no longer even a human. They are an evolving being, creature who transitions into the status of the non-gender being, where they continue their process of development, learning, growth, and self-knowledge, and unlocking in themselves and adapting to the light codes of immortality which are activated there. And by reaching higher steps, higher levels, this being is turning into a God creature. The task before this being is to become God. The former human realizes they are God. They are created by the high intelligence, God. God told this human, become perfect as I am perfect. Former humans like this realized they have always been immortal, but the conditions of the planet where they lived did not allow them to reach this level of perfection, of immortality. But these codes are present within every human being, but they are in a dormant state. Starting from this stage, on higher planets, such a human develops and evolves as a high evolved creature. We cannot say that everyone follows the same path. Even there in the mentioned worlds, when you have the status of an immortal being, there are directions, further directions of your development, and a person may choose to not come back to paradise but take the path of evolution of seraphic hosts, or perhaps to be part of archangel hosts or other beings. Why? Because the evolution itself begins with the smallest, lowest, and develop into the highest. By unlocking the smallest, then other stages, next stages, are about achieving the highest, which can be done on higher developed planets. This planet, because it's occupied by fallen beings, prevents many people to rise higher, and the fallen beings do absolutely everything to hinder the process of development for humans to be suppressed in their inner will state. Why is the willpower so important? It's the driving force for your brain, and your brain is a device that receives the quantum waves, the information from quantum superposition inside your neurons, the information by entering the tiny microscopic neurotubules. Information is then processed inside your brain, and then this allows you to have the awareness and understanding of life and the desire to develop. But when the pineal gland is not active, when a person is suppressed, then tunneling is working in this person, but not to the extent that can allow a person to develop. They generate the energy of low frequency. This is the energy of survival. Look around you. We can see many people live in a state of survival. They are created by the higher intelligence, by the stages of God, and they live in a state of survival because their willpower is suppressed. Slavic people have the strongest willpower. They are strong willed, active, productive. And I want to tell you, my friends, again back to immortality. Every human born on this planet has a purpose of reaching immortality and then enter paradise abode. But you always have your free will and free choice. Your will is yours. You can choose. You can either develop or not. And I want to also mention that no one can force a human to develop. High evolved beings, by integrating the codes of immortality within you, will never force you, they will never coerce you, they will never do it. It will violate the law of free will. They can help you if you want it yourself. But this principle of your evolution, of your development, is determined by your will. With your will, you can set goals, explore, develop. You will move on. You will not sit idle, and the process of development leads a person to good life. Spiritual beings will help you in this. Without the willpower, as a species, this person leaves the plane of evolution. Every one of you determines your own happiness or unhappiness. It can even be explained by science. When you have the willpower impulse and the will is activated in a person, in under circumstances of difficulties and hardships, not always, but this allows you to activate your immortality genes, which allows you to unlock in yourself the light codes which will allow you in the future to become immortal beings, immortal children of God. The people with no willpower are going to leave the evolutionary plane. We are now witnessing it. We live in this time when the masses of people are unable to develop. They will not be able to do it, not because they are bad, because they do not have willpower. And they will be removed from this planet for many reasons. That is why many things are happening, such as catastrophes, wars, destruction. This is because the masses of people who have not chosen the evolutionary path of development have to leave this plane. They have to leave the planet, and others, strong willed, will continue the process of spiritual evolution. And those who go through the quantum transformation, quantum transition, will be able to reach a higher level, activate their willpower impulse, and receive even higher vibration. And this will allow them to activate even higher codes within your genetics. So our future is about happy, prosperous life. People will be aspired for unlocking their immortality. Within the next 5 to 10 years, all people will know how to self renew their organism, how to govern your organism to self regenerate. Such technologies already exist. But to give it now is not possible. The planet has to cleanse, and then humans will be prepared for immortality. And on a certain stage of evolutionary development of this planet will achieve a status where humanity will overcome death. What does it mean? To transform into light consciously. By going through the conscious transformation, they will be able to travel to higher planets of spiritual culture where they can choose their further path before they reach paradise. The final purpose, the final goal and destination is paradise. But it can be even not paradise, depending on what path you will choose in the mentioned worlds. This will depend on what status, what level you reach here, and I will explain you why. There are many religious directions, there are many spiritual directions, and there are such among them which never speak about paradise, they only speak about nirvana. And when you reach it, okay, great. When you want to be born again, choose the new incarnation, new family. Then again, you live your life, then you enter nirvana. After nirvana, again, you are back into the next cycle. But the number of such incarnations are not infinite. There are a certain number of lives that you are given, and this number is 1000 lives. You have the possibility to live and die 1000 times. If you have done it 1000 times without setting a goal to follow the path of sonship, to unlock the nature of the God's child, God's creature, and you are only aspiring for nirvana, then after 1000 lives you will leave this planet, you will also go to the mansion worlds, and you will be directed and guided based on this narrow state, and you will not unlock your true nature of God, which you have. But now I actually speak about Buddhism, and there in the mentioned worlds you cannot reveal this triune state. You should have started this process here on the planet. Your goal is to reveal these three aspects. If you started it here on the planet, you will continue it there. But if you only develop mind and spirit and you do not take care of your bodies, then in the mentioned worlds you will take a different path of development. You will then continue to perfect your aspects of spirit, which you choose here on this planet. This is a very complex process. Such people cannot enter paradise. They will evolve in eternity. Their life will become more and more beautiful, more advanced, but they follow the path of a different life form. They choose not to be a child of God, but to be a seraphic being, or perhaps a different aspect. They choose a different form of evolution, and they come back to their perfect planets which await them. And they follow this evolutionary path and return to developed eternal planets. There are eternal planets of seraphic beings, archangels, of life carriers, and many other forms of life which are very advanced and developed. I will not continue this too much, my friends, because I can confuse you. I want you to have knowledge. I want you to have clarity. I want you to have that carrot in front of your eyes that will tell you every time you take the next leap, every time you grow higher, you will live a better life. You will know God inside you. You will live divine lives in the cosmos. And these are not stories, my friends, it's the reality. I want you to hear it. Yes, it requires a lot from you to achieve it, and we are doing our very best to reach this level in our center to help you embark on this path and realize there is future, the future in eternity. My friends, immortality is a certain process of revealing in you your light codes, which unlock in you your true nature, which you right now in this moment and after the quantum transition will develop. Again, back to the status of this planet. I think after the completion of quantum transition, when the world has revived and restored, because after the completion of quantum transition, there will be very few people. These people will need to express their very strong willpower and remove these fallen beings because among good people they cannot exist, and these people will have to give life to new people. First, there will be about 1 billion 500 million people around that number, and this will be humans who are conscious, developed, aspired, people who will live very long lives, people who will manage the reality of quantum superposition, the quantum entanglement. People call this world, the scientists refer to it as an illusion. And eventually, the planet will reach the era of life and light, where humanity will no longer die. People will be preparing to shift to higher planets, and everything will be so magnificent, so wonderful. Just like now, people gather during funeral to cry and mourn, then during that time, everyone will assemble together and their bodies will be transformed into light. And these humans will be brought within 36 hours or maybe instantly to the mansion worlds, where they continue their evolution in higher evolutionary worlds. And when the final human reaches this process of transformation, the planet will enter the process of disintegration. The evolution will be complete on this planet, and the evolutionary will form of life by that time will have lived on high evolutionary planets. Those who have not gone through the process of transformation and adaptation will be transported to other planets where in a microscopic, very original stage they will again begin their path, and after billions of years they will reach a certain process of development, but they will no longer be humans. This will be other beings or perhaps even other forms of life, just like it happened here on this planet before. Please do not be mistaken that all of a sudden, in a moment of light flare, everything emerged. No, a process of evolution and development was stretched through years of materialization, solidification, survival, and life of many life forms, which then contributed to the physiological material state of the body of the future human. The science is aware that the biological material for a human being was taken from the animal. It's a fact. 98% of the biological material of DNA in order to create a future human was taken from an animal. But an animal, before becoming an animal, had to reach this stage too. First, they were very primitive organisms, and then from these organisms new forms of life were modified, created, and so on and so on. Life emerged in the ocean, then land life forms appeared, and of course these primitive life organisms remained in the ocean. They remained in their original form. Other processes of mutation created new forms of life, and in this way various forms of life were created, and among them were monkeys, and their genetic material served to create a human. But a soul and spirit belong to the higher intelligence, the creator. Before taking the genetic code from a monkey and create a human as we know them, this was another process of mutation and the creation of the biological human. In the very beginning, in the process of shaping life, a human was shaped as information and ether. Humans were 36 meters in diameter, etheric cocoons of energy. They could not communicate or speak. This was the genetic material that then served to create beings such as humans. Some experiments failed. They remained unsuccessful. Such experiments as a human being who can live on land and on the water. These are dolphins, an experiment that failed, and they remained dolphins. You know why? Because their life in the ocean was so beneficial. They did not face enough challenges, and this did not allow them to evolve. Evolution means development, the process of creation. It is the process where you find a way out from difficult situations. And so, the difficulties that humanity faces is an impulse for development, an impulse for inner self sufficiency, where a human can prove they can do everything. And a question to Sergei Arkadyevich, a question about development. The path of development. Let's take two people. One of them is developing, is curious, they are exploring, they have a thirst for knowledge, just like Lomonosov. And such a person is absorbed by the knowing new things, by exploring, discovering in mathematics, chemistry, and other sciences, history, and life. And there is another person who is also developing. They live in the Tibetan monastery, they meditate, they study spiritual science, and they are not burdened by the questions of their material life. They wash floors in the temple, they go to the mountain, and they help the creatures, animals around in the nature. They meditate on it, and so their life is very slow paced and harmonious. There are two paths of development. Which of them is closer to immortality? What humans actually need more? A human needs to have experience. They need to learn to find the solutions in difficult situations and try to avoid difficult situations by setting even higher goals in their process of evolution. A person is meant to reveal the nature of God. God is omnipotent, omnipowerful, and this is the one who controls their thoughts, who is above matter, and who can control and manage matter. People who live in Tibet, who you mentioned, Sergei Arkadyevich, are those people who do not unlock in themselves the ability to be a child of God. Of course, I understand you can now inundate me with your feedback, with your opinions. My friends, I share with you my knowledge, the knowledge that I possess. I by no means want to say that Buddhism or any other direction is bad. Everything is created by the higher intelligence. But Jesus said many years ago, your Buddhism is far from who Buddha was. Buddha was much better than your Buddhism. This is a spiritual direction which is limited. But yes, they work a lot on themselves, they carry out certain experiments, they can transition into the subtle state, they are learning this. Any human can learn this. It does not mean that you have to follow Buddhism. Buddhism is limited. And when you reveal in yourself the nature of the paradise creator, the threefold nature, the body, mind, and spirit, then you are developing, integrally, comprehensively unlocking the light codes in you which lead you to immortality. People ask what is necessary. You need to live a good, productive, fulfilling life. It does not mean that you have to stand out among others somehow. You just have to be interested, hardworking, decent, responsible person. It's not something supernatural or unattainable for a human. You are yourself, and at the same time, you do not wish harm in your thoughts to anybody. You do not envy. You wish everyone a good life, and you do everything for this life to be good for other people, and who you are, you express. But many people are living a life of a performer. They perhaps know what is right but do the opposite, or inwardly they are not really kind, but they wear a smile, as if they are good and kind, but inside there is hatred. Many people live this way. These people cannot go through the quantum transition. They cannot remain in this world. They cannot resonate with the new frequency. My friends, I understand that it may not be something pleasant to hear. I think a lot about it. I want as many people to remain on the planet as possible. I want it so much, and I want that many people want to continue life here. But they should have started doing something in their life, not just sit idle and think about their children's son who is 37, 42. This is a child of God, and others are responsible for their life. You have to take care of your own path. You have it. Do not live by the problems of your children. It means you have missed a lot already. Many miss a lot in the development of their children, and they will reap the harvest. But we live in a very different time now, in the quantum time, and here processes are going to be very different, the processes unseen by this planet. And the next question. I would like to speak a bit more about immortality. We speak now that immortality, as it seemed to me, is an option in ideal conditions when a person just deals with their development, lives a good life, eats good food. But what if there are no good products? There are no good conditions, and many people who are perhaps watching our program today, they're not interested in the global concept of immortality, but to live with no death. So they go, steal, rob a bank, and nothing happens. They have a bag of money and everything is fine. There are no consequences. Perhaps there are people, if you ask them, would you like to live eternally, endlessly by the rubbish dump, or maybe on an uninhabited island? And when it comes to immortality, You live your life, do whatever you want, but there is no consequence. And nothing really happens, even if you're on a death penalty. You do not care. So, is it possible to speak about it and reach it in ideal conditions, or if a person actually reaches a certain level, no harm can happen to them? The thing is that those who steal and rob banks cannot become immortal. It's impossible. A person becomes immortal who have high conductivity of energy, and this is determined by our thoughts, our emotions, our character, by who we are in truth, genuinely, not the role that we play. That is a role that remains a role, but who we are genuinely. This determines us. And very soon, my friends, there will be new technologies introduced that can determine and assess who you are in truth, not the role you play. It will be seen that you're just playing a role, it's not who you are. Such instruments exist, and this is not a story. This is reality. A person who steals, who hates, and if they want to be immortal, but who needs such a person? An immortal person when they have transformed into light, and they are in the mentioned worlds. There is no lies, no deception, no robbery, no theft, no hatred, no envy. Such beings are not present there. There is nobody who kills there. You have arrived in the world of high culture, ethics, philosophy, expanded intellect. The beings who live there are all scientists. They possess a high level of knowledge. That's why we can say they are scientists. So, how can a person who steals or kills enter such a world? It's impossible by no circumstances. And a person who goes and does such a thing as robbery, they are attached to matter. They are so materialistic, and this condensed matter holds this person. It does not allow the vibration of their quantum field between your nucleus and your electron. There is emptiness, there is distance, and this is the quantum superposition. So, the quantum superposition of these people who steal and deceive is very low frequency, it's material. And such materialistic people are unable to reach the mentioned worlds, the spiritual worlds. There are no such beings there, so there is no place for them there. What happens to such people? They will be entering a process of disintegration, and from these particles, new life forms will be created. There will be no such human again. And this is what it is. And how can we speak about immortality for such people? First, they will face the hell, and they will meet all who they robbed there, and then they will be disintegrated after the quantum transition. Hell and purgatory levels will no longer be possible. The high frequency will permeate the entire planet and spread across cosmos. The frequency and vibration will change. It has already changed. It's confirmed scientifically. The proton is reduced now, and this means the world has changed. After the completion of this mutation and transformation, unkind people will not be living here on the planet. It will be not possible because of the high vibration on the planet. They will go to other planets. Now there are many new planets that are just emerging, and the life has to emerge based on the particles of intelligence. People who still, they also have intelligence, and it's eternal, it never dies, and it can be transformed into a different form of life, but it remains, it never dies. People of destructive nature also have mind and they have consciousness. It's eternal. This is the state of eternity. And because they have not reached a higher level of vibration, they have not expanded their consciousness, they have not risen above matter, they continued their low state. And so they will go to the planets of the same level, and from the fields, from correlations, from the patterns of this former intelligence, new forms of life will be created. People who have started the process of evolution, expansion of their consciousness, they raise their vibration, and this leads them to immortality. Everything is interconnected. You say, I keep repeating, be kind, but I say it because I want you to live. I understand what kindness means, what love means. People fail to understand it. It's the foundation of your immortality, your future life. I understand it, but people cannot. They think the more information they gain, the higher they jump. Yes and no. They can jump higher, they can take the leap only when they have honesty, love, kindness, care for each other, and oneness with all life. The book by Eckhart Tolle, Oneness with All Life. I recommend you to read it. The next question from Olga. Was the introduction of clones 200 years ago into our life? And the question is about clones, whether it's real, whether such copies are actually real, and what actually clones are, whether such people have a soul, whether there are children who are born from clones, and how such children live, whether they have a soul or not. So the question is about clones. By studying the nature of a human being, the nature of the cosmos, the nature of higher beings, the nature of fallen beings, I can tell you one thing. All of these are the life forms who have a certain level of frequency, electromagnetic frequency, which contain patterns, states, certain level of energy. There are forms of life who are originally are not endowed with soul. They are technological beings who have to perform this role in the cosmos. There are those beings who have a soul. These are humans. Only humans have a soul. Also, the souls can be of different nature, different category and composition. There are highly evolved souls. The beings who are present also on this planet, they have highly evolved souls. There are those beings who have received the souls on a level of a human soul, but in their process of evolution, by developing their souls, have become immortal. They have arrived here to this planet to help humanity. There are also forms of life who are created as clones, as you have said. They are created by other alien beings because they know everything I'm sharing with you. People may not believe it, but they know this scientific information. They create laboratories to clone humans. And my friends, recently I encountered the information that these laboratories to create life, artificial conception of life, the biological material that remains there in certain cameras, this is the material which some time ago, maybe even now, is necessary to create new humans. Medics, biologists have learned to select the best embryo with the highest immunity. And I think this biological material is already used, I think, to create a new type of humans. And we can understand that, my friends, because the species of humans that live now, it's the dying form. There are many people with illnesses, and of course, such a type cannot continue evolution. People in the future are meant to live 1,000 lives, and this requires them to have very powerful genetic material. I think such embryos will be used to create the new race. There are clones, there are alien forms of life who carry out experiments on their planets and this planet. They take the human biological material, combine them with their biomaterial, and create different creatures who cannot have a soul because it's not a pure biological composition, it's different, it's dual. Such creatures do not have a soul, but because they do this process, then they are the initiators of this new life form. And because it is so, because they do not have souls, then these clones, these humans, cannot have souls. They will be biological robots, constrained, cold, unemotional. There are such forms of life. At the present time on the planet, there are many secret laboratories to clone humans, to create a new type. Good laboratories and not very good laboratories that grow organs. There is a lot happening, but what is actually not good, my friends, is that people in their masses have degraded. They cannot manage their emotions, their psyche. They are suppressed. And this inner suppressed state does not allow them to develop. They call it a burnout. They are 20 years old. I have watched Instagram. They all have very cool cars. And I'm 20 years old. I don't have it, so I have a burnout. My friends, when you are 20 years old, your parents can buy you a car if they have not had a burnout in their life. The rest is just a deception. You are led into deception and illusion where you experience depressions, burnout. Soon we will have no food to eat, and your depression will be over. People will have to survive because they are unwilling otherwise to work to become good experts. It's easier to say I have a burnout than do something. And this is degradation, mass degradation. In this process, many people justify themselves, and this means they are leaving this planet. Why they cannot hear it? Why can't they think about it? But it's not favorable because it means you have to develop, you have to unlock in yourself new things, new talents, and it can only be possible through work. And it's the process of your evolution because through work you overcome difficulties. By doing so, you activate your willpower. This expands your consciousness and your process of tunneling inside your neurons generates higher frequency, which then expands your consciousness and intellect. You are more capable, you are more talented, and your life becomes better, and there is no burnout. And you are restrained and limited, and that causes burnout. That's why wars are happening to shake up the world and say you have to work instead of sitting on your sofa with a remote control, watching TV or playing computer games when you are 40 years old. You should be ashamed. If your lifestyle is about it, you do not benefit the world. A human is born in order to bring something good into this world, to beautify this world with your life, no matter where you are, in a public transport, in the kitchen cooking your meal. You have to bring joy, beautifying life of this world. Why this highest philosophy is lost? Why? This philosophy is the basis of your immortality, my friends. I recommend you to watch this program a number of times. At the very beginning, I spoke very quickly and I wanted to share with you very serious ideas, very serious knowledge. Do not cease, do not stop, continue knocking on the doors and they will be open. When you have inner request, there will be a suggestion in life. The question is from Valentina, who asks, can a person lose the code of a Slavic culture, but in the previous life they, for example, lived a different life, not as a Slavic? My friends, with no offense to African people, I want you to understand if in this life a person is born as a Slavic, it means that they were born as an African person before. It means they have reached a certain level of intellect and spirituality. If a person was Slavic and then in this process they turned into a homeless or alcohol addicted and then they died in a past life, but they still have a number of lives. Then, back then, they could be born as an African in Africa, where they have a very primitive life. They could live a very different life, but they are unwilling. I visited Africa. It's a wonderful country. People are wonderful and open, but even in their thoughts, they cannot allow themselves to think that they can live well. These countries of Africa are colonial and they are under the governance of European countries. The next question. Victor is asking, once you said that the being, by reaching the entrance to paradise, can turn around and not enter paradise. What happens to such a soul? First of all, if this soul has reached the paradise level, it means it's a very highly developed, energetically strong being. This being can turn around and not enter paradise for one reason: to help and save other planets and beings, or to begin the process of creating other planets and local systems as a highly evolved being. Why such cases can be possible? Because in paradise life is different. There is no process of creation. There is no process of producing, reproducing. Everything that can be produced and created requires space-time continuum, whereas in paradise everything is in a static, manifested state. There is no creativity. But a being may want to accomplish a creative process and they want to manifest it, they want to reach it in the cosmic reality. Such beings will come back and travel to other planets. Then, second time around, they may even change their status after their process of evolution and enter the planets around paradise or the planets of Havana. These planets have the eternal state and they may live there on those planets. I want you to understand there is no such thing in the cosmos as disappearing or vanishing. Even if a form of life here on the planet, just like many people, did not manage to evolve, they will leave this planet in a low state. And from the codes of their consciousness, from their quantum state, other forms of life will be created and they will also develop. They will also continue their process of evolution, their path, and this plan will be created for them. Usually, my friends, when a reality is formed for the planet, when the planet is just beginning to form, the processes of all evolutionary cycle are formed. The initiation, development, and disintegration. It happens for the planet and for all beings in the cosmos. In the cosmos, there is order. Even though scientists call quantum superposition as entanglement. For scientists, yes, it may seem as entanglement, but in fact it is not entangled. Cosmos is all about order. And the next question, the last question for today. The next question from Irina from Canada. We have heard many times from Natalia Rodina that higher beings come to the planet in the face of humans and help humanity in their process of development. What is their path after death here? The path can be different. It depends on who they are and what their original nature is. By living a human life here, such a being has a physiological body, subtle bodies, but the intelligence of this magnificent being is different, and their power, their magnificence is revealed and unfolded gradually, just like it happened to Jesus and other beings in Egypt. Usually, my friends, such beings, if they manage to withstand and endure everything that they have to here on the planet and fulfill their purpose, their mission, because this mission is recorded in the informational field. All highly evolved beings are aware of it, of this plan. If they complete their task, then this being leaves this world. They can just disappear. They can leave this planet through physical death. It depends on a task of this being who comes here to this planet. If one of the goals was to live a human life, to know the human experience, and it's possible only here. There are no other humans like you in the cosmos. When such advanced beings come here, they incarnate here, they choose to live a human life. It's interesting to them because this life is very difficult, very dangerous, and we can say it's subject to abrupt changes, and a highly evolved being may wonder, can I actually do it? Can I live such a life? Can I manage? They, we can say, reveal in themselves another aspect, the human nature. These beings can die in the physical body, they can leave this body here, and in their released spiritual state, come back to those planets, that state which they are. Moreover, if they have managed to fulfill their task correctly, when they come back, they rise a level higher. Because if they manage to live a human life with divine dignity, it's possible only for a very evolved, developed being. Many experienced a fall, just like Kaligastia, Daligastia, his assistant, 60 beings who became fallen. These were alien beings who arrived from other planets. They did not live on this planet before arrival. They became fallen and they did not fulfill their task, even though they lived in the human form here. They arrived in spiritual bodies, then they received human bodies, and among 100 of them, among 100 human beings, were selected 50 male and 50 female who gave them the biological plasma. My friends, I will be finishing today's program. We can continue talking about it. Perhaps one day we will dedicate a program to this topic, how gods evolve here on the planet. This topic is so vast and I can share a lot. Everybody has their own path, have their own road, mission and task, and everyone fulfills it in their own way. I want to thank you for today's live broadcast, for being present, for asking your questions, for sharing your recommendations, your opinions. We're always glad to read your feedback, your comments. We will continue doing our best to lead you to immortality, bringing you back to where you came from, paradise abode. My friends, with my beloved subscribers, I'm going to meet again at the end of May 2026. We will meet again. Our work will last for 2 hours, maybe even longer. I was so happy to meet you last time on Sunday. Very curious, very serious people came to this meeting. Register with our assistants. I want to tell you that this work is simultaneously interpreted into many languages in real time, 6 world languages. And so, please register with our assistants. You will be informed on the date of this meeting. Follow our schedule. I want to wish you a peaceful sky above your head, divine, pure spirit, expanded consciousness, strong will, the greatest aspiration, wonderful life, and return to paradise to all humans on earth, all beings who have come from paradise. I wish you to come back in your greatness and perfection. Be happy, my friends. I love you with my soul. I will serve you in eternity. Do not give up. Continue growing. No, there is a way out, and it is the most wonderful for you. Have a good evening.